In a quiet neighborhood filled with blooming gardens and friendly faces, Karen stood out as the self-appointed guardian of peace. With her neatly trimmed hedges and flower beds perfectly arranged, she cherished the calmness that surrounded her home. Karen believed that tranquility was essential for a happy life, and she thrived on the soothing sounds of nature, birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the occasional soft breeze. However, she had little patience for anything that disrupted this serenity. Even the gentlest sounds could set her off. When her neighbor installed a set of delicate wind chimes in his yard, Karen's tranquility was shattered. To her ears, those soft jingles transformed into what she called hippie noise pollution. She couldn't understand how anyone could enjoy such an irritating distraction. Karen's frustration grew as she tried to relax with a book or sip her morning coffee while the chimes clanged softly in the background. With each breeze, they seemed to taunt her more and more. The peaceful ambience she adored soon became a source of stress. Determined to reclaim her quiet bliss, Karen decided to take action. She felt it was her duty to protect her neighborhood from unwanted noise, no matter how harmless it might seem to others. With a deep breath and a firm resolve, she marched down the block with a plan. It was time to file a noise complaint against those wretched wind chimes. Little did she know that this would only spark an unexpected reaction from her neighbor, one that would change everything in their small community. The wind chimes hung gracefully in Karen's neighbor's yard, glistening in the sunlight like tiny silver bells. Crafted from lightweight metal, each chime danced gently in the breeze, producing a soft, soothing sound that seemed to blend seamlessly with the natural music of the world around it. When the wind whispered through the chimes, they created delicate notes that twinkled like laughter, inviting anyone passing by to pause and listen. The chimes were arranged in a thoughtful manner, with different lengths and sizes creating a harmonious melody. Each gentle tinkle felt like a caress on the ears, making the air feel lighter, almost magical. The neighbor had chosen their placement carefully, ensuring that their music would reach beyond his yard, filling the neighborhood with an enchanting symphony that flowed like water. On warm afternoons, children would play nearby, their laughter intertwining with the sounds of the chimes, while birds perched on branches seemed to join in the chorus. Gardeners tended to their plants with a smile, finding joy in the peaceful ambience that surrounded them. For many in the community, these wind chimes were not just decorations, they were symbols of harmony and connection with nature. Yet for Karen, each gentle note felt like an intrusion. While others enjoyed the melodic whispers of the wind chimes, she could only hear the clashing of her cherished peace. The contrast between her neighbor's delight and her growing irritation set the stage for an impending clash over what constituted harmony in their beloved neighborhood. As the days passed, the gentle music of the wind chimes only seemed to grow louder in Karen's ears. She could no longer focus on her favorite activities, like gardening or reading a good book, as the tinkling notes melted into an incessant clamor that disrupted her daily life. Each breeze brought a fresh wave of irritation, and she found herself counting down the minutes until the sound would stop, wishing fervently for silence. After much contemplation, Karen reached a boiling point. She decided it was time to take action and do something about what she considered an invasion of her peace. With determination set in her mind, she marched over to her computer and began drafting an official noise complaint. As she typed, she couldn't help but label the melodic nuisance hippie noise pollution, convinced that others must be suffering as she was. Once satisfied with her complaint, she printed it out and prepared to deliver it to local authorities. She imagined how proud she would feel once those annoying chimes were silenced forever. In her mind, she pictured a tranquil neighborhood restored to its former quiet glory, a place where peace reigned supreme and nothing disturbed the calm. Yet deep down, a part of her wondered if anyone else shared her feelings about the wind chimes. Nevertheless, she shoved that thought aside, her resolve was strong. With a fierce sense of purpose, Karen set out to file her complaint, unaware that this action would not only shake up her quiet existence but also spark an unexpected twist in her neighbor's response. Across the street from Karen lived her neighbor, Oliver, a free-spirited artist known for his creative flair. With wild curls and paint-splattered clothes, he embraced life with an open heart. Oliver had always seen the world as a canvas, filled with colors, sounds, and possibilities. While he cherished the soft music of his wind chimes, he also loved a good laugh and enjoyed playful banter with those around him. When Oliver received notice of Karen's noise complaint, he couldn't help but chuckle. To him, the chimes were a joyful part of the neighborhood's charm, and he appreciated their gentle melodies as much as the laughter of children playing outdoors. Rather than take offense, he decided to respond to Karen's complaint in a light-hearted way. Inspired by her words, Oliver envisioned a whimsical project that would turn her irritation into amusement. He set out to create an artistic installation that would bring harmony to his yard while adding a playful twist. He gathered 5 more wind chimes, each carefully tuned to different musical scales. With an eye for detail and a dash of humor, he hung them strategically throughout his yard to ensure they would produce an enchanting melody whenever the wind blew. Naming his new creation Nocturne in Karen Minor, Oliver anticipated how this melodic masterpiece would resonate through the neighborhood. He imagined how it would blend seamlessly with the sounds of nature while simultaneously serving as a cheeky tribute to his neighbor's complaint. Little did he know that this playful response would escalate their ongoing conflict in unexpected ways. With a creative spark ignited by Karen's complaint, Oliver eagerly set to work on his new project. He visited the local craft store, gathering materials that would allow him to create not just ordinary wind chimes but a carefully crafted ensemble of musical beauty. Each chime would not only add to the visual appeal of his yard but also contribute to an enchanting tapestry of sound that danced through the air. Oliver selected 5 distinct wind chimes, each meticulously tuned to different musical scales. One would play the soothing tones of a major scale, while others released melodies from minor, pentatonic, and even exotic scales. This careful selection was meant to ensure that when the wind blew through them, they wouldn't just jingle but create hauntingly beautiful harmonies. He imagined the ethereal sounds swirling together like notes in a symphony conducted by nature itself. After hanging the new chimes at various heights and angles throughout his yard, Oliver stepped back to admire his work. The sight was as striking as it was whimsical. Each chime glimmered in the sun against grassy hues while waiting for the next gust of wind. When the breeze finally came, it was magical. The notes blended effortlessly, filling the air with an elegant melody that seemed alive with possibilities. Oliver couldn't help but smile as he listened to his creation come to life, hoping it would not only amuse him but also add a touch of serenity to a neighborhood seemingly divided by sound. He felt excited about how this light-hearted response would play out with Karen and wondered if she might find herself enchanted by his melodic tribute instead of annoyed. As Oliver stood back, admiring his newly created wind chime installation, a playful idea struck him. He wanted to give this whimsical project a name that would capture both its essence and the spirit of Karen's complaint. After pondering for a moment, he grinned and announced it to himself, Nocturne in Karen Minor. The title was a clever nod to her loud protest and his artistic response. It combined the musical term nocturne, which evokes images of calmness and nighttime serenity, with Karen Minor, playfully suggesting that the creation was born from her discontent. Oliver loved how the name encapsulated the blend of humor and creativity he aimed for, turning a source of annoyance into a beautiful melody. Excited by the thought, he envisioned how others in the neighborhood would react to the name when they heard it. He imagined them chuckling at the playful jab while enjoying the soothing sounds that drifted through the air. The juxtaposition of the name with the actual music he created filled him with joy. It was a reminder that art could come from unexpected places. With each breeze that moved through the chimes, Oliver felt more connected to both his creation and his neighbor's frustration. He hoped that this whimsical gesture would not only bring laughter but also bridge the gap between him and Karen, transforming their conflict into something beautiful. Little did he know, the playful name would soon become part of a larger story, one that would resonate beyond his yard and into the hearts of everyone in their community. As the wind picked up, the chimes began to sing a hauntingly beautiful melody that drifted through the neighborhood like a soft lullaby. Each chime rang out with its unique tone, producing a captivating blend of sounds that danced together in the breeze. The major scale chimed brightly, creating a sense of joy, while the minor notes added layers of depth and emotion. Together, they formed an enchanting symphony that invited not just curiosity but complete relaxation. Residents who walked by couldn't help but stop and listen. Children paused their games, their faces lighting up with wonder as they absorbed the harmonious sounds enveloping them. Neighbors who once rushed by now lingered longer, sharing smiles and nods as the music played on, transforming the everyday noise of life into something magical. Yet, for Karen, each note was like an unwelcome intruder breaking into her sanctuary. She found herself gritting her teeth every time the wind stirred the chimes into action, their delicate melodies piercing through her attempts at peace. What was a whimsical addition to everyone else felt like an endless cacophony of irritation to her ears. As she closed her windows tight, trying to drown out the sound with pillows and blankets, she could hear laughter outside as neighbors enjoyed the carefree music. The very essence of her complaint had morphed into something entirely different. Oliver's artistic response had transformed annoyance into something enchanting for all except her. In her heart, she seethed at what she deemed a mockery of her desire for quietude, a continuous reminder that her battle for peace had taken an unexpected turn. As the days passed, Karen's frustration grew thicker than the summer heat. The enchanting melodies of the wind chimes drifted through her open windows, wrapping around her like an unwelcome blanket. She tried to relax in her favorite chair with a cup of tea and a good book, but each soft tinkle shattered her concentration, pulling her away from the world of words. What once had been a peaceful sanctuary now felt like an echo chamber of irritation. In a desperate attempt to reclaim her quiet, she closed the windows tightly, hoping to block out the persistent sounds wafting in from Oliver's yard. Yet even with the windows sealed, the music seemed to seep through, penetrating her walls and invading her mind. The notes that enchanted others became a source of anxiety for her, each chime reminding her of her failed quest for peace. Karen found herself pacing around her home, fuming at the injustice of it all. "How can he think this is acceptable?" she muttered under her breath as she rearranged decor that felt misplaced in such chaos. With every gust of wind that sent the chimes singing again, she gritted her teeth and tried to drown them out by turning on the television or blasting music through speakers, anything to create a barrier against Oliver's melodies. But nothing worked, the haunting strains floated effortlessly above all other sounds. Frustration bubbled within her as she realized that silence was slipping further and further away. In moments of quiet desperation, she thought about confronting Oliver again, but uncertainty held her back. Would he understand? Or would he simply laugh off her concerns once more? Feeling overwhelmed and desperate, Karen finally decided to escalate the situation by reaching out to local authorities. She believed that if she could get someone on her side, it might help silence the chimes once and for all. With a determined resolve, she took a deep breath and picked up her phone. As she dialed the local noise complaint hotline, thoughts of peaceful evenings flooded her mind, an image of cozy nights without the sound of tinkling metal interrupting her calm. When the operator answered, Karen explained her plight with urgency in her voice. "There's this constant noise from my neighbor's wind chimes," she said, her frustration bubbling over. "I can't relax in my home anymore. It's like hippie noise pollution, and it's driving me crazy." The calmness of the operator's voice felt like a soothing balm as they assured her they would send someone to look into it. After hanging up, Karen felt a flicker of hope. Maybe the authorities would recognize her need for peace and intervene. As she waited for their arrival, however, doubt crept in. Would they take her complaint seriously? Or would they dismiss it as an overreaction to something so innocuous? As the afternoon sun began to set, casting golden hues across the neighborhood, she steeled herself for what was to come. The chimes rang softly in the breeze outside, a reminder that her battle was far from over. Would help really arrive when she needed it most? Or would she again be left alone to face Oliver's persistent melodies? Later that afternoon, the sound of sirens broke the tranquility of the neighborhood. Karen's heart raced as she watched a police car pull up in front of her house. She felt a surge of relief, believing that help had finally arrived to silence the persistent wind chimes that had disturbed her peace for too long. As two officers stepped out, she hurriedly approached them, eager to explain her situation. The officers greeted her warmly and listened attentively as Karen recounted her frustrations with the hippie noise pollution coming from Oliver's yard. She emphasized how the enchanting melodies disrupted her ability to relax and enjoy her home. With a nod, they agreed to check it out. As they walked over to Oliver's yard, Karen felt a glimmer of hope that this would be the end of her troubles. The officers approached the wind chimes with curiosity, pausing briefly to allow the soft sounds to wash over them. The wind blew gently, and soon the chimes began their ethereal song, a blend of notes that floated gracefully through the air. After listening for several moments, one officer turned to Karen with a bemused smile. "Ma'am," he said gently, "this is quite lovely. It's peaceful music." His partner nodded in agreement, noting how it added character to the neighborhood rather than detracting from it. Karen's heart sank as they explained that they could not take action against something so serene and soothing. They advised her to try adjusting her perspective or finding ways to cope with the sounds. As they left, she stood there in disbelief, realizing that her battle was far from over. Her quest for peace would continue against an enchanting melody that others cherished. As the days went by, the enchanting sounds of Oliver's wind chimes became a staple of the neighborhood, drawing in more residents who found joy in their melody. Families gathered outside, children laughed and played, and friends shared stories while lounging on porches, all set against the backdrop of the harmonious chimes. Neighbors began to come together, laughing and enjoying the beautiful notes that floated through the air, creating an atmosphere of community and connection. Karen watched this unfolding scene from her window with growing resentment. The laughter and camaraderie outside contrasted sharply with her increasing isolation. As the wind picked up and sent soft melodies wafting into her home, she felt like an outsider in her own neighborhood. To everyone else, it seemed as if Oliver's artistic expression had brought people together. To Karen, it was a constant reminder of her plea for peace that no one else seemed to understand. When she overheard neighbors discussing how much they loved the wind chimes during impromptu gatherings, her heart sank further. "It's music to my ears," one neighbor exclaimed while another chimed in about how beautifully they complemented the natural sounds of their surroundings. Karen felt a sharp divide forming between herself and those she once considered friends. In moments of quiet desperation, she contemplated confronting them all about their support for what she deemed hippie noise pollution. But deep down, she feared being viewed as the villain in a story where everyone else found joy. With every sweet note from Oliver's chimes, Karen's frustration only deepened, a painful reminder that harmony was not universal and that her struggle for peace was now a solitary battle amidst a chorus of delight. As time passed and the wind chimes continued to sing their melodic tunes, Karen found herself at a crossroads. The sounds that had once irritated her began to blend into the background of her life, intertwining with the rhythm of her daily routines. It was as if the music had become part of the fabric of her neighborhood. She realized that, while she may not have enjoyed the chimes at first, they were a symbol of life, creativity, and community around her. One afternoon, while sipping tea on her porch, she noticed the laughter and chatter of neighbors mingling with the chimes' enchanting melody. Instead of viewing them as a source of annoyance, she started to appreciate how they brought warmth and connection among those around her. Taking a deep breath, Karen found a sliver of calm within the chaos. Soon after, she decided to join the community by hosting an open house in her garden, inviting neighbors over for tea and cookies. As she prepared for the gathering, she hoped that embracing her surroundings would lead to a better understanding between herself and Oliver. As families poured into her yard, sharing stories and enjoying snacks amidst playful laughter and chiming melodies, Karen felt a warmth spread through her heart. In that moment, she realized that peace could be found even in unexpected places, like within a string of wind chimes she once deemed disruptive. As Oliver played around with his new installation, Karen understood that although they might never agree on what constituted peace, acceptance could blossom even in differing perspectives. With newfound resilience, Karen learned to coexist with the enchanting sounds that had once driven her crazy, finding beauty between harmony and chaos all around her.